Okay, so what kind of situation do we have at the moment from an AUD CHF perspective? Now, on the daily time frame, the situation is pretty clear. We have a market that has previous resistance, now turned support at this area, and a nice counter trend line as well, acting as support in the same zone, meaning that we have a strong confluence of support in this area with the daily time frame of AUD CHF. Now, if you're asking yourself why counter trend line and not trend line, because the trend from a daily perspective, yes, is to the upside. But if we go and see what is the situation from a weekly perspective, we can see that the market has created this impulse to the downside, creating a lower low. The market had a low here and the market broke that low to the downside, creating a lower low, meaning that from a weekly perspective, the market is in a bearish trend. And we have the impulse, we have the correction, and we expect the market to try to start another impulse to the downside. Another thing that we can notice from a weekly perspective is that the previous support at this area, now turn resistance, hasn't been tested yet. What does it mean? It means that the market might decide to go and make one last move to the upside to go and test this level to grab some liquidity before actually starting the move to the downside. So that is something that we have to keep in mind as well. The last thing that we have to check from a weekly perspective on AUD CHF is simply taking our Fibonacci from the high to the low of the impulse. Why do we have to do that? Because if you want to measure a retracement in the market, you have to take your Fibonacci on the impulse. And what we can notice is that the market is currently facing the 0.786 Fibonacci retracement as a resistance level. Therefore, it might never make it to actually go and test that level. So from a daily point of view, obviously we have some contradiction. So from a weekly perspective and daily perspective, we have some contradiction because we would like to see the market drop lower. However, we realized that the weekly, in this case supply, hasn't been tested yet. So previous support, now turn resistance. So we have to be, as usual, reactive and not predictive. Now, before I explain how we will be approaching this situation on AUD CHF, let's go and take a look on what we have from a COT perspective. So commitment of traders, what hedge funds are doing in the market. So let's start from the AUD. What we have from an AUD point of view. Now on AUD, we can see that with the last report, hedge funds have continued to add longs, but at the same time adding more shorts. In fact, as you can see, we are still at minus 39k in net positions from the 35k that we had, meaning that we still have shorts greatly outweighing the longs with 64k shorts and 25k longs from an institutional perspective, meaning that we can still definitely expect the market to make a drop to the downside in the long term on the AUD. And if we go and see what we have from a CHF perspective, we can see that on CHF with the last report, 1k longs added and 1k longs closed. So we can expect CHF to get stronger, which is in perfect confluence with what we want to see from a technical perspective on AUD CHF. However, as usual, we have to be reactive and not predictive, as I was saying. So how we will be approaching this market with students. Now, at the moment, when the market will reach this area, the market can easily get rejected by this confluence of support and go and reach the weekly resistance that we have. If the market will do that, then what we will be doing with students, we will be monitoring price action from a 4-hour perspective inside of this area, waiting for the market to provide to us one of our valid entries. And as soon as the market will provide to us one of our valid entries, we will be taking a nice short with a very good risk to reward and very good probabilities for a nice move to the downside. On the other side, if when the market will reach this area, it will break the confluence of support to the downside, this will become a confluence of resistance. So after the break and on the retest of this area, we will be monitoring price action with students, waiting for the market from a 4-hour perspective to provide to us one of our valid entries. And as soon as the market will provide to us one of our valid entries, we will be taking a very nice short with a good probability and good risk to reward for a move to the downside. So as usual, being reactive and not predictive. This is the decision point. If the market will break, then we will be looking for a short. If the market will bounce, then we will be looking for a short from higher. Now, if you enjoyed this free analysis and education, make sure you drop a like and a comment. It really does support the creation of more free education and analysis for all of you, and I will see you in the next video.